Aunt Patty's on the square. Park County's oldest antique mall with 22 years on the southeast corner of the square. We have 25 dealers who take great pride in stocking and maintaining their booths. In 7,500 square feet, you can find almost everything from the smallest penknife to great jewelry, vintage coins, sports cards, dishes like Grandma had, all the way to a large piece of furniture. We're open 7 days a week. Our hours are Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5, and Sunday, noon to 5.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
No, I wanted to talk a little bit about sewer stuff, or I'm sorry, nitrate stuff. Mike's here to do that, I'm sure. So
Okay.
unless he came just to see if they gave more and more questions.
No, I got enough. I had enough phone calls. Okay, so we did get a call from one of the engineers, Eric Smith, wanting to know if he should prepare something really huge. And I said no. I said it pretty much outlines the scope of services. Just put a price down on what that's going to cost them to do. So everything's going to be due on the 26th. And then you can go ahead and contact them after they've made the submittals. Contact them to interview them.
And the engineering firms are?
Analyze One Client, HWC, and what's the other one? Rex?
Decker.
So those are the only two. So you got plenty of time. A couple other issues came up. When we talked to IDEM, maybe talked to the compliance section, stuff like that. So we just need to get them updated.
Yeah, I'd emailed Delaney and asked her, my suggestion to her was, to me, it would make more sense to amend this plan once we have the engineers who can then tell us.
Correct.
Because I can tell you, okay, we'll have this in 3 months and this, but I don't know.
Well, I kind of said the same thing. Yeah. So let's wait to get the engineers on board.
Let's get the engineers on board.
And then we have an idea from them when they think they'll have that PER done. So.
Can you explain a little bit more about how that process happens? Because that form that you had to send out to the engineers, it's actually saying an evaluation form for use by the evaluation group chairperson. We haven't even appointed a chairperson.
That's a kind of a boilerplate thing. And typically I send those out if we were going to do RFQs. On an RFP, that first part of that page is all you really needed. But it was a good idea for you guys to see what typically they would do as far as interview. On the interview side.
So what exactly are we doing? We're just inviting them to an interview?
Yep.
Are we using this score sheet?
No. Unless you want to.
Because I'm just confused on the process. And
typically when I do these that are just basically RFPs, I'll send a single sheet out and basically the scope of services and then ask them to come up with a cost for doing the PER. When you're doing an RFQ for OCRA, Office of Community Rural Affairs, the CDBG grants, they want you to go through this whole process of sending these RFQs out. They respond, you set up the interviews, then you have scoring sheets, questions. So, you give them 20 minutes apiece.
So the council will be the one interviewing them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or just have a committee of the council. I just have, it's up to you guys. Paul and Jay know more about water than.
I think that's what we discussed before.
And so I just have those two talk to the engineers.
So, and their decision will mainly just be based on the one they think's most qualified?
Well,
it doesn't have anything to do with the dollar
I sent you
figure,
some questions that they can ask.
It'd be up to you guys. Dollar figure is going to matter.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yes.
But ultimately, I don't know that the dollar figure is going to be vastly different between two engineering companies because it's about I mean, they're going to be doing, maybe they have different ideas, I suppose. They could have different ideas about that. But if you said, I want you to engineer me a new sewer treatment plant that's this big, they're going to, okay, and the prices are going to be about the same because they do cost materials and yada yada. The engineering costs could be a little different, perhaps.
The thing I look at is how do you feel about when you interview them? You know, how do they present themselves? How do you feel about them? Is it somebody you can work with? You know, because you can tell sometimes pretty much right off the bat if they're talking at you or with you. Yeah. So it does make a difference, especially as you go along through the project. So Eric didn't have any. Once I explained to him, he didn't have any issues with it. But he unfortunately, I probably should have just left the one page and he wouldn't have had anything to say because the other guy didn't say anything.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything.
And the second page was confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah. That's okay. That's my fault.
Okay. And then I just wanted to, yesterday afternoon I had a phone call from a Tina, what is it, Henderson? Mendenhall, but it's Henderson.
Mendenhall Associates.
Kind of caught me off guard because I had no clue. I'd asked a couple of times if we needed a grant administrator, and you said no, that IFA does all that. But I didn't have a clue who this girl was, and in this day and time, I really don't trust anybody that calls and so I talked to her a little bit, and she basically said she's contracted through IFA to help underprivileged communities get a piece of that pot of that extra money.
Right. Yeah, IFA used to do this themselves, had their own internal staff to do that, but they contracted that out. Tina, it's Mendenhall Associates. They're contracted with IFA to do all that as far as the funding is concerned. Conversations I had with her today, like 2 hours worth, is basically you qualify for the funding, but for the pot of money that is for communities that are underserved, you don't quite qualify. There's like a few $100s difference on the MHI, household income. So what we discussed is she's going to go and talk to, well, I would talk to Sarah Hudson or the director for IFA, and determine if they want to pursue that. See if that couple $100 doesn't matter, or we could do an income survey. And I'm sure if we did an income survey, I'm sure with the way the incomes are determined now, the MHIs, that's done through the American Communities system, and they're not as accurate as I think they could be. But anyway.
So anyway, because I want everybody to be on up and up with what transpired yesterday. I was very leery, so I told her we normally work with a local grant administrator, and she asked who it was, and I told her. Yeah. So she said, well, I know Christy. Christy knows me, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of gently got myself off the phone and called Christy.
Well, you opened up another can of worms.
Well, that's what I'm asking you too, though. Okra money, she says there is $700,000.
I understand that, but the problem is that is not enough to fund this project.
Oh, no, can't we get both fundings?
Sure. Do you want to do, there's double the book work.
Here's what I'm worried about. You keep saying it will probably be a forgivable loan, but that probably scares me. So that's why I'm wondering if we need to try to get Okra.
It's just like probably you'll get an Okra grant. There's probably about that as well.
I was in a meeting last night with Eric Smith, and so I talked to him about it. And Okra does have money. An SRF has money, and IFA. So the issue you have is I don't even know how much this thing's going to cost. So
he said about anywhere. Eric's ballpark figure was 1.5 to 2.
Now, if you can just get SRF to give you a loan and then a grant for $1 million to buy your rate down to whatever, that is by far the easiest thing to do.
I'm just
if
trying
you can
to
get
understand. I'm not trying to.
Yeah, right.
Well,
I just want to understand.
The thing is, we'll know. She's going to be talking to the powers that be anyway. Tina is. So you'll have an answer. You qualify now for the grant. The determination is the second pot of money will pay for everything. There won't be a loan. With okra, even if you get 750, you still have 20. There's still a 20%.
And okra is, no offense to our friends at okra, but they are a major pain in the ass.
Yes.
so I'm glad that's on. No, they do a good thing, but they have so many rules and regulations, and this has to be done at the time. If you can avoid okra and get the same money from somebody else, I mean, I wouldn't do something that's going to cost you an extra $1.
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I understand.
And that's not my job, is to make it more costly for you.
Right.
I know all the funding structures. And my best guess, if you want to call it that, is that SRF will provide all the funding for this project. If you cut it in half, then you have to deal with the bureaucracy on that part, on the okra side, and then the bureaucracy on the SRF side. The bureaucracy on the SRF side is a lot less than the okra side. There's all kinds of rules and regs that they have. I only use okra if I know that the project is going to be within their ballpark, 700,000 or 500,000 or whatever they used to have. If that's what the project's going to cost, then yeah, you still have to come up with 20%, because that's just what it is.
So this girl that called me yesterday, that's because you have to have somebody. IFA requires a grant administrator to do that part.
Yeah, it's an administrator that goes through the whole loan process with the loan grant process with you. That's what she'll explain at the next meeting. What that whole process is.
Okay. So once an engineer is hired, are they who will help us through the bidding process and all that? And you, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Board, you.
The engineers will take the. Engineers will work on the funding part of this too, inevitably, because you need people who understand what those funding agencies are looking for. They can't just submit some hand-drawn stuff and,
the PER.
PER, they know what to put in the PER. And then they also are pretty familiar, most of them are pretty familiar with the funding sources and cycles, and there are engineers at the state who review this stuff too, and will make comments back and say, well, why did you do this, or shouldn't you do this?
Well, and that's the other issue too. With SRF, you've got engineers with SRF that will review. On the okra side, there are no engineers that will review this. They will basically take whatever your engineer says and fly with that. USDA does the same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
They have their own engineer.
USDA does have their own engineer. Yeah, that's right. I mean, to some extent, we still have the cart a little bit ahead of the horse. It's good to start thinking about funding,
right?
But and talking to SRF about funding and because they have more money available now than they ever have.
They're going to receive about $118 million.
So and they're still trying to figure out how they're what they're going to do with it. The ultimate bottom line is if you can avoid okra and get SRF to pay for all of it instead, that would be preferable. I think you would find that. I think we would all find that to be preferable. Now, if it comes out and SRF says we're only going to pay for half of this, or we think we can only pay for half of this, then I think we should go for okra.
Okay. What happened was when we talked to SRF would just as soon pay for the entire project.
Good.
That's from Sarah Hudson and her boss.
Okay.
They would just as soon you go after the
because
full pot.
It gets really messy too when you combine them, because they have different. This has to be done by this day, and this for this program, and it has to be done by this day for this program. So you get this. They can't award until you get this. It becomes.
I'm trying to make it easier on you too.
Well, and I apologize for opening up a bag of worms, but
it's okay.
You know me.
No,
everything makes me so leery, and if I don't totally understand it, then I want to understand it. So
I get paid by.
And actually, then if we did need something else in the next 5 years or 7 years, water-wise, we could still go back to okra
for an
okra grant because we haven't used up our thing. It's nothing. We still may need okra. I
just don't know what this means.
I don't know.
Yeah. I just know that from talking with the operators and you that you have to take care of the nitrate issue. If you're going to take care of that, if there's any other issues you have, take care of them as well. If you need some more orthophosphate injection system or something other than just the nitrate plant. So, you know, that gives you an option of going after the 750 or 700 or whatever they come up with Okra. That's it.
Can I tell you an SRF story? I think so. Dana did a water project a year or so ago. Bids came in way high. It was a combined Okra SRF thing. So we had gone to Okra. Okra gave us whatever they were going to give us, and that's all they were going to give us. We went back, it came in high, we went back to Okra, and they said, no, that's it. That's all you got. Now, SRF ended up giving Dana, they said, okay, if you can come up with some extra money if you can get somebody else, the county will give you some extra money, we'll match that dollar for dollar. So they went to the county said, we'll give you $300,000, they matched that dollar for dollar. They said, if you want to throw in some of your ARPA money, we'll match that dollar for dollar. So then they matched that dollar for dollar. And then they said, and here's what else we can do, we won't charge any interest for 20 years. And this all came down, this literally all happened in 2 weeks. It went from, because they wanted to get that rate down and so they had money, and they just kept, okay, we'll do this, okay, we'll do this, we'll do this to get your rate down. And it was so easy. I mean, it wasn't easy in the sense we were scrambling around trying to run numbers, but there wasn't as much bureaucracy. And so if you can get SRF to fund this, I think that'd be great.
Well, like I said, I've done projects from 28 million down to 500,000, and single source for me has always been better. And even I've got a project now that bids came in high like they did. We went back to the single source, and they went ahead and granted the rest of it. And Okra can't really do that. They have a limited amount of money they have. Typically, SRF on a yearly basis puts out about $18 million for small communities, and then they go back to they have a draw that if all the other states don't use all their SRF money, it goes into a pot, so they can draw from that if they have other projects they still want to. So when we first came in here, SRF to me is the best deal. They're going to have a lot of money, and they're going to want to get rid of it. They're going to want to use the money they get. Just knowing the people at SRF, you're going to get funded, and I think you're going to get fully funded. You know, Scott says the issues I have with Okra, they're way too bureaucratic. They've got way too many rules and regs, and they don't provide all the money. If they provided every bit of the money, then I think they ought to have a say. But when I have a $8 million project and they only provide $700,000, and they want to have say in that project, and there's $7 other million going from another agency, no, that bureaucracy just doesn't make sense to me. So that when we first discussed it, I said, let's go SRF. You know, we talked to SRF about it. Yeah, there shouldn't be any problem. The timing was a little bit because they hadn't gotten to the point where they got that stimulus money from the feds, but it's all in line. So talking to them today, talking with Sarah Hudson, talking with McGough, yeah, they want to see. Yeah, they want to see this. They want to.
The director.
Yeah, and I've known him for 20 years, and he says no. We'll just fund the whole thing. I says if you want to go with Okra, then no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to fund it that way. If you want to go with Okra, go with Okra. If you go with Okra and only get $750, then the project, even if it's $1 million, you're going to have to come up with, you know, either a loan or something else. They'll loan you the money anyway. Right. They'll loan you the money.
Right.
So when I got a call from Christy, she's upset. I says, well, you put an RFP? I said, yes. Well, what about, that's not CDBG. I said, we're not using CDBG. I said, we talked about this. I said, well, I'd like to go a single source, and CDBG wasn't one of them. So I didn't call you. I know you're there. I mean, I know you're in Dana. I know you're in a couple other places, Van Bibber, but I'm not going to get her involved if I don't need to. Now, she and Tina then could argue all they want. I don't care. That's none of my business. I don't care if they argue between the two. Well, you're in my territory, I'm in your territory. I don't care. The concern for me is you, not them. Okay. I don't care what, you know. Tina doesn't make any money out of this because she gets her pay from the IFA. Christy gets money out of Okra. She gets paid right out of Okra to do whatever she does. You know. So, talking to Tina today, she said her and Christy will try to work something out between the two of them so that she'll throw some bones at Christie so she won't feel so bad. I don't, you know, I said, do whatever you got to do. Between the two of you, if she wants to do the income survey and some admin work, and this won't come out of your pocket, it'll come out of IFA's pocket. Actually, it'll come out of Tina's pocket. Tina will go ahead and subcontract her to do stuff. So I don't want to make.
Fun. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, I don't want to make everybody.
And
I don't want to make.
We do need to get Oprah. If for whatever reason some prices come in way high and SRF says we can't do that much, then we can go back to Okra. Now Okra is not a simple beast to deal with.
No.
But
we all everybody in my office has a CB certification. We all have. We don't do the work because we're not.
I got a lawyer in my office who has it too.
I got a lawyer in my house. So
it's a lot of well, Cindy Todd does it.
Yeah.
It's they have more requirements than most other programs do.
Well, and I think that's where I'm getting confused because that's all I've ever really dealt with. So in my head, it's like, well, we're not doing this, we're not doing that.
And if you're doing a fire station or a small project, it's great.
Like this building.
It's perfect.
Your recommendation is just continue the path we're going.
We need to get some engineers.
Okay.
That would be,
and when
So on the 26th,
26 in your office.
Into us.
Yeah, and you'll get through the post. You'll get the RFPs.
Okay.
And then get them to.
And then it's Jay and Paul.
And probably.
And then they can decide when they want.
Yeah, and I would get your operators involved. I mean,
Yeah.
be at the meeting with the engineer.
That's the deadline for the engineers to
I
submit.
got an engineer. I don't care. I got an engineer.
Well, thanks for explaining all that. I just wanted to make sure
it's confusing.
it is. And
It is.
you know, I get nervous and worry about auditing.
And like Scott says, I'm more laid back because I do it a lot, so I don't.
Yeah.
So I don't see the.
I'm more laid back than you are, so it's like a degree. And so we get the engineer. Now, you've got this thing because really don't know how much funding we need till we get the engineers deeper into it.
Right.
I don't think there's any harm in talking to Tina or whoever and saying, okay, we think maybe this much. Do you think SRS, is there something we need to be doing now? Is it, and what they may say is, well, we're going to need to, I know we're going to need to get Pat Callahan involved because they are going to require a bunch of rate analysis and stuff like that. But until we know what the project costs are going to be, Pat can't really finish his work. But there's no reason we couldn't have them come in and explain how some of this might work, what the timing's going to be of it, when their funding cycles are, that sort of thing.
Well, Tina is going right ahead and working with with the SRF partners there to get everything in line for that meeting on the 6th or 9th or whatever.
So, do we even need the meeting on the 6th then, if we're not interested in
if we're not changing courses?
Well, I don't.
It doesn't matter.
It's up to you guys. I mean, I
don't
want to take. I mean, if Christy wants to come in and tell you why, I mean, she may have a different perspective on it than I do about why you should do Okra. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure.
No, but
if it assuages the feathers that are ruffled,
Sounds like it's gonna.
Between the two of them, then I don't see an issue there. Now, yes, is she going to argue that you should go after CDBG? Sure.
Yeah.
She gets paid by them. But like I said, you weigh it. I don't see the benefit. So but it's up to you. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I just know that you end up having more work and more hoops to go through with CDBG than you do with that.
I would avoid Okra if I could.
Do you think
if I had another option, it doesn't cost me
So maybe
no. I don't think we need it. That should be more information. We got them all over. We don't need.
Unless
something
Tina
happens.
was pretty eager to meet, and she had
Tina
a
can
list of
explain all the
questions
SRF
just
stuff to you. That's not.
We could
That's
be for that.
We've had Tina. Tina's done some. City of Clinton has had some stuff where Tina came in and all she did was the labor standard stuff and stuff like that. It's fine. The city still uses Christie to do a lot of other grants too.
Yeah.
When it's CDBG, that's who they go to.
So if we have that meeting on the 6th, who would be there at that meeting?
If we have
Yeah, if we have.
Tina should be at the meeting because I think you can then ask her questions about the SRF.
And then if you guys have talked to the engineers by then, and maybe
Yes.
you know, the board would need to vote on that ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you had an engineer that you thought was the best one to do it, and they wanted to come to and talk to the board at that meeting and say, okay, if you hire us, here's what we'll do.
Good. I think that's a good idea. I think the thing is, they should have an engineer selected by them.
Yeah.
Before that meeting.
Yeah.
So I would definitely invite the engineer to that meeting. So then Tina will be there, the engineer will be, you guys will be there.
And we can start to coordinate a little bit of the timeline and you know, getting Pat involved. I'm sure Pat would still be okay doing this with SRF.
I would get Pat involved to just say that if we need to look at rates, because we're not going to get all free money or whatever, then yeah. I suspect even if they granted us all the money, they're going to want an analysis done to make sure that our rates are adequate. And so, and we do have some complications because we just took on the responsibility for paying for the water tower, and we are repaying ourselves a loan from the electric for a project we did recently. So somebody has to factor those long-term costs in to make sure our rates are adequate, plus then throw on enough to make SRF does not want to loan us the money to build this plant and then have it fall into disrepair in 10 years, and because we didn't have enough money to keep it up. That's right. That's typically where most communities have problems is with O&M costs. We'll make sure that the engineer, whoever you select, does a good job on looking at the O&M costs. You know, the first year, 5th year, 10th year. RD requires like 20 years out. So we want to make sure that you have sufficient funds or know that you're going to need those funds in the future to go ahead and do repairs and replacement. So that's where the O&M comes. So typically, if you go to bid, the bids come in, you look at the bids, and you pick the lowest bid. Well, is it the lowest? You typically end up having to pick the lowest bid. But if you look at the O&M costs, I've had projects where the O&M costs were a lot less, but the project cost, the initial construction cost was higher. But totally, over the 20, 40 years, it was going to be a lot less. So that's something you have to take into consideration. That's something the engineer needs to address when he puts these bids out. So it's a good idea to have the engineer there. It's a good idea to have Tina there. Like I said, I don't recommend CDBG. You can do whatever you want. I don't recommend them at this point in time. And you can always go back to them. I mean, if there's something strange happens, which I don't anticipate, I can go back to the 70s when we had construction grants, and they give you all the money they could possibly give you. Problem there was that they gave you too much money, and you squandered a lot of it. But and this is a lot of money. $118 million for the state that typically gets $18 million. That's a lot of money, and a lot of that's going to be taken up by some of your larger entities, larger utilities. But there is a pot of money that's set aside for small utilities and underserved. And the determination we're trying to make is, I believe you're underserved, and that you ought to get the maximum amount of grant that they'll allow. And we've had them where they've given 100%.
Do they take into account the need for the project? Because you have a pretty high priority.
Okay, your priority is so high. You have an agreed order.
Yeah. So that's we have an issue with nitrates. So this is something that should put you towards the top of the pecking order.
It will. We talked to IDEM, and IDEM talked to IFA, and they agree that you are on the top tier.
When you go to the IFA offices, the Indiana Finance Authority offices, the SRF offices, you literally walk through IDEM's offices to get back. They're kind of like this.
Well, it used to be IDEM, and then IFA took over, and we've had really good relations. We do after the fact analysis for IFA when system fails, and they want to know why did they fail, because we have money invested in that system. So then we go out and we do an analysis of what's going on. look at the costs, look at the O&M figures, look at the operations.
What we screw up. Well, and
Yeah.
I do agree with what Mike said, so I want to reiterate it about if they seem to be sitting there with a checkbook that's fairly open at the moment, now would be the time. If the wells need anything, if the treatment plant has some electrical issues, now might be the time to do that. We did a project a few years ago that did valves and hydrants, right? It's a main replacement. Am I thinking right?
Well, whatever we go through the treatment, we're going to have the injection points on the well discharge now.
What's that? Okay.
The injection point for the chlorine and the phosphate.
Yeah.
Is it the well discharge?
Yeah, I mean, the wells are going to go through the RO system.
So that's going to definitely have to be
That'll
moved
have to be
downstream of the RO or whatever it is. Any kind of treatment, because it'll strip that right
See,
back
this is
out.
why you guys should be on this committee.
Yeah. So all that's got to be redone.
Same thing
again.
on your wells. When was the last time you had your wells pulled? Have them checked. See if you need a new point or anything like that.
It was before me, probably.
See, that might be that's something to discuss with the engineer.
Yeah.
At
least
The water tower's in good shape. We know that.
What kind of metering do you have? You have to read meters, right?
No,
No.
we have
You
a
have
note for water.
I'm trying. We did a project.
We did that water project.
We put some valves in. We put shut-off valves in.
Isolation valves.
Isolation valves, and we put in some hydrants, meters.
But the least we'd have to do is do a drawdown rate on the wells.
Yeah.
That tells how clean they are. Should get so many gallons per foot of drawdown, and if it's not, you got to have them cleaned. But that's
simply when you develop the well, you know exactly when it was brand new what kind of GPMs you got out of it.
Yeah.
So if you look at because you keep track of it.
Oh yeah.
Then you can see if it's going down. Once it gets to a certain level, you know that you got to have the points cleaned, or there's an issue there, and you get Peerless whoever would come out and do a cleaning. Or sometimes you may need a new point.
Yeah.
So and that's something that when we talk to the engineers, we can throw that stuff in there because they're going to put together a whole program. So whatever you think that you would want them to look at, just throw it in there. It's really hard to go after the fact once you get the initial draw to go back and say, oh, but by the way, we could also use. No, do it up front.
Right.
And if you had to take it away, that's a lot easier taking it away than trying to add it.
Right. So this meeting with the engineers is going to be
sometime between September 26th and October 6th.
So we don't know yet. Okay.
Yeah, I would as soon as we get the proposals, the RFPs for them,
Just call them
and
set it up.
just set up a date.
Okay.
That's on you when you're available. They're going to be available. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, thank you both for the clarification.
That's okay, I'm sorry.
I think it's lots better.
No.
Yeah.
Just,
I would have called you yesterday if I'd known you were so confused.
I don't care if you hit me. You can hit me if you want. It's all right. I didn't purposely try.
I wouldn't have known.
Well, that
I wouldn't
threw
figure.
me off guard.
Hearing
Is
from
what it
Mike.
was. I'm like,
I didn't know who she was until then. I remembered she did some stuff for Clinton. We had some SRF stuff, and she did. I think she did labor standards or something.
Environmental, labor standards, income surveys. She did everything. She was a CDBG grant administrator. She did a lot of work, but she's kicked back over, because she's tired of doing all that. So she's actually working for IFA to do their loan grant program. So she knows all about their program. The thing about Christy is that that's not her program. It's not.
okay.
I'm not saying she doesn't know anything about it. I'm just saying it's not something that she gets paid to do.
Right.
CDBG, she gets everything. Everything's paid for in CDBG. That's why I say if you need an environmental, when we put a new building up, if there's a new building going in, it's not on your property that you have out there now. So you need other property, then you might have to do an environmental. If you change lines or add lines, distribution system lines, then you have to do an environmental. So it's going to make the determination of do you need an environmental or not? Do you need an income survey or not? So there's a couple of things there, but that's something to discuss with Tina. In fact, I think she sent you another email today
Yes.
with some other stuff on there. and I would get that out to the board as well. So yeah, she's perfectly capable of handling any of your responding to any of your SRF questions. So that's I would definitely have her there. We should have the engineer do that. So have him there as well, and I'll be there, your cooperators, and that 1 hour is plenty of time before your regular meeting to go over all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But like I said, on the engineering part, hire somebody you feel comfortable with. That I know they've done work with you guys before. They're doing work, right? Aren't they doing Dana's?
HWC, yeah.
Yeah, and they've done Van Bibber, and sometimes they're great, and sometimes they're not so great, but it just depends. And Eric does a decent job. I like the guy. He does a good job. He helped me change a tire one time. So there's not too many engineers are going to get down there and change a tire for you. So anyway, but that's your decision to make. And like I said, you talk to them, see how you feel about them, and they're going to go from there. But you have to be comfortable with it.
Thank you for your
Sorry
communication and all that stuff.
Am I what?
Your communication.
Oh.
This is just,
might freak out.
Yeah.
Well, this is just awful. Too,
well, I
because,
wasn't going to say that.
You know, we didn't know we were going to have to do a water project a year ago. We thought everything was good. We got the tower good. We got all this good. And all of a sudden, this thing comes out of left field. And we hoped that we could take care of it some other way. We tried some other measures to look at, can we put new wells in? Will that fix it? Apparently,
And that's due diligence.
I know, but so now we find ourselves having to spend a lot of money.
We're going to be able to enjoy the fire, and now we're in it again.
Yeah.
But at least you may be spending somebody else's money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but in some respects, I guess it's good that some of the Build Back Better stuff money and all that came in, because now they have, and I just have always been, when Hillsdale gives a combined Okra project, but had the same thing with Hillsdale Water years ago when they did their project. SRF just came in at the last minute and was like, well, your rates are still going to be really high. Here's another, I don't remember, what it was, like $400,000. It was just scary. And there was no, it's forgivable loan, but it just.
Yeah, they either USDARD or SRF, they try to buy your rates down to what they consider to be affordable. They do they have an affordability index. We do them, and see what is an affordable rate for you, and they try to buy down to it. Now, can they buy down to what you think is affordable versus what they think is affordable? Not so much, but they do come up with an affordability index, and they try to buy you down to that index. So they try everything they can to make it affordable for you, and it's the regulations. I mean, EPA, I really don't care. This is what the regs are. This is what you need to be, where you need to be. We don't care how you get there, but you're going to get there. Some way, shape, or form, you're going to get there. And what we're trying to avoid is, you don't want fines. You don't want them to sit back and then fine you. You've got an agreed order already. So the next step would be, if you don't move forward, then they can actually go ahead and fine you if they wanted to. Scott's probably run into that too. You don't want to get there.
Generally, if you're making progress, they are understanding of it. And I think we can genuinely show them that we are making progress very soon.
Well, they would not have, EPA, I would not have called us in to help if they didn't think that you guys were wanting to do something.
They're a lot more forgiving municipalities than they are corporations.
That's probably true.
Yes,
that's probably true. Yes, their sympathies are.
Yeah.
They recognize.
So who's got deeper pockets?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, so.
Should we not mention your name when we talk to them? Is that?
Well, they should all be gone by now. The ones I dealt with.
I was going to say, is your picture up there somewhere? Or?
No. Well, it may be. Who knows?
Let's hope not.
Yeah.
It should be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take his down. That's all right.
Well, I think we got there, Mike. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. But
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
I'll see you on. If anything else comes up, just call. Or yell or do something.
I'll call him and have him call you.
Well, Scott can yell.
I don't really get it. I only yell at my kids.
No, mine are too grown up to be like.
Yeah.
Right, see you guys.
Bye, thank you.
Thanks again. Okay. Okay, now let's get on, you all got copies of the minutes? We had several meetings. If I can have a motion.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
I second.
All in favor?
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't know that lady. And
Oh, I-
with everybody that tries to call and.
No, it was. I wouldn't
She
have
said she
known.
knew Christy, that's why I emailed Christy first.
He should have called you and told you to have this late.
So I had asked him about a grant administrator, because that's what I was
That's
just
up to that area.
doing. But he said, well,
On the water project, on the,
They did.
I don't
But-
understand that.
They had their own, they had like some of their own orders.
Thank you. So that, we still might have to get them, but I know a lot of that stuff.
ready for the claims warrants, end of month, $47,035.35. September 15th meeting, $228,050.95.
78.
Yep, right. 278,050.95. Okay, payroll warrants, 8/25/91/98/915, and the amount of $32,117.31. And let's go ahead and do the bank reconciliations at the end of the month of August 22/02/02.
What I do?
Two
Oh,
zeros.
Yeah, just one too many.
yeah.
Okay, utility is $3,020,430.58. 58 cents down there. The town, $1,067,298.17. Payroll, $2,863.93. And customer deposit, $34,210 each. We have a motion to approve all of those.
I'll make a motion to approve these claims and warrants. Second.
Payroll records and bank reconciliations. All of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Yep.
Those.
Ready to slow that down.
No. Numbers are good. The numbers are good. Except for sewer. Oh, your numbers are good except for sewer.
Yeah. Your gas looks good, but it's only because we deposited all that. That we took from investment. It's still sitting there, and I brought it.
Yeah, I
from
do.
you. See if we can reinvest it.
That's why it's got all that revenue.
These are all going to be out of order and Kathy's not going to be happy.
And, you know, that is why the balance is growing.
Mhm.
I was looking at the
I
balance.
think if I did it to the end of the year, it'd be a little bit over that. Does that
Well,
matter?
no, I'd rather be a little bit over.
Maybe just do it for the
Yeah,
year.
we can stop.
Yeah.
I have that paperwork somewhere. I probably 186 or something. So 186.
Yeah.
So
And then, let's see. Yeah, that includes
No.
this payment for August, and then, yeah.
well, that's up here. Your sinking account. I don't know where your payments come from.
The sewer reserve, sewer debt service reserve.
That's your So I can make a note of myself so I can see what you. I might have that somewhere. What your balance is.
Okay, next thing on here is the public hearing for the proposed 2023 budgets. Is there any comments, questions from anybody? Well, he was right. Okay. So, no questions or concerns or anything, Kathy? You mark that down?
Yes, sir. That was them.
Easy piece of work.
And we need to do
Okay.
off there. Open. Do that and then we'll, okay.
We have a motion for that?
Yeah, Paul and I did interview Jared Lindley, and it's up to you, man.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept his application and hiring for employment, tentative of drug and alcohol, and all the requirements.
And wage per hour,
We told him $17.50 plus a dollar when he gets his CDL.
Yeah.
17,
50.
17.50.
Didn't have that on this piece of paper.
So, can I have a second to that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, something else you take care of, Kathy? Really good, wasn't it?
Very nice.
Skip,
Good evening, everyone.
how are you?
Good.
Good.
6 runs for the month of September so far, up to date. I don't remember how many we had for the year. Several emails have been back and forth between Kathy, myself, Kurt, and the board pertaining to the fire truck, 535. I know the insurance, they did that it was $26,400, $480 and some change for the non-salvaged. If we wanted to salvage the title, it was going to be $19,600 and some change on that end. Just seeing which route you guys were wanting to go. I know Kathy sent another email to Dougner at Epic pertaining to, since we raised our rates and all that coverage on that, the last issue we seemed to have for the replacement. But yeah, we haven't heard anything back. Have we?
No. Did you get that email? Because I sent it to you and Doug.
Yeah, and then
Because we had it valued at $155,000.
Correct.
okay. I don't know. I saw that email. But there were these two different threads of emails, and so I thought it had been taken care of. But now I'm thinking, no, that was about the other issue.
Yes.
Because there was also a second issue about State Farm wanting
Had
a copy of the
contacted me and
policy.
said he never heard anything from anybody.
Right.
And
So,
so I shot that to Martha, and she doesn't like giving out
yeah.
our policy to somebody else, especially in that kind of a situation.
I'll try and I'll add that in my.
But I did pull that title copy out from when we received that from Emergency Management, Park County Commissioners. And I mean, it is listed as a truck. It's not listed as a emergency, like your fire truck is fire truck. So I don't know.
It was issued to us as an emergency vehicle from ECP or EAP or whatever it was when Newport gave all that money out.
Yeah.
It was issued as a rescue type truck then. Is it not carried over?
See, that's what I'm wondering because of what he come back with. But that's why I shot that email to Doug. So hopefully he's in the process of. Mike from EMC is who he was getting a hold of.
I mean, that's.
Well, and my concern is that we valued that for that much, and
But but we were valuing the replacement cost of the truck, not the truck itself. It was the replacement cost. That's why we raised all the rates and all that. And that was prior to the inflation of 2022, where everything else is now 20 to 25% higher. So even 155 is not going to be enough. We're looking online and just getting some ballparks. You're looking at 180, 220 ball area. So I mean, if we're going to get stuck with the 26,000 only, we're in the hurt locker pretty big.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've gone down this route once already, unintentionally on both times, but we keep shooting ourselves in the foot for not having the right coverage of the right vehicles or whatnot. So I mean, we're doing a lot of legwork for insurance companies, and we're not doesn't seem like we're getting our fair end of the deal on any of this.
I think we ought to find out the answer to I had the same question when I first saw it, and there may be an answer. It may be that, no, that only covered these kind of vehicles, but it did not cover this one. I don't know. But I'd like to know what the answer is, because I thought kind of the same.
But every year since we were informed, he's done an updated spreadsheet. I've sent that to them.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they did. They told you, no, this one isn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Isn't.
They let
Oh,
you
you
pay
got
for
that.
it.
They
Right.
let us
And I
pay
can
for
see
it,
at some
so-
point maybe they, if it gets to the point where, almost to this point, honestly, where the vehicle's street value's only 25, but you're going to, I mean, you'd be better off totaling the thing.
They did.
They did.
Well, I know, but intentionally
Right.
totaling the thing. So at some point they have to probably say, well, we can't continue, because you could intentionally, the premium would be so high. It'd be like if I could, I don't know. You see what I'm saying? If it gets, if you could get full replacement costs, but the vehicle's it's going to cost you $150 for a new one, and it's only worth $20. You might have an accident that isn't an accident.
I mean, I can't total a vehicle that's already been certified as being totaled.
No, I meant before it happened.
Even the replacement value of that same truck is not $26,000. You're still looking at a $70,000, $80,000 vehicle, just as a utility
Just as a basic,
as a
truck.
flatline truck, even without the equipment on it, the lights, the sirens, the equipment.
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying about
He's saying if it wasn't an accident, if that was a thing, then you would.
At some point, they may have to stop
That's what they
insuring
would
for the
do,
replacement
because-
value because they're just
Right.
It encourages you to damage the vehicle.
And does this model number W37 does that relate it to emergency?
Oh,
Because it said body style, of course, is truck,
yeah.
but the model is listed as a W37.
That I don't. You'd have to get back to the
We need the
manufacturer
insurance
on it
to
and all
answer
that.
we really need them. I guess I kind of got confused. I thought they'd already talked to you guys about that. Okay.
Well, they had been, but then this,
Because there was this other issue about the State Farm thing, and
yeah,
I saw they responded to that, but
once they received or I received his quoted what. If we kept the vehicle at so much,
Yeah.
they took it to so much. What'd you say,
It was
26,000?
26
26 or
total, but
19.
it's 19 if we
26. And
salvage.
if we want the salvage
Yeah.
title, we get
19.
like $6,500 off of it. We get that, and we get to keep the truck. But I don't. Even if we kept the truck, I don't think we can sell the difference for what the total. The 26 is what we're getting.
No,
so don't make that. I would not make that decision until
I've
you
held off on it
know.
because he wanted a copy of the title. I've not even done that because I haven't got a response from Doug or.
I sent myself an email to try and give him a call. So,
I mean, what options do we have in the meantime? Do we proceed with just getting quotes to see what ballpark we're going to be in, or do we just wait until we figure out what the insurances are doing?
well, you're going to have to get a new one, right? So probably. So it doesn't hurt to go ahead and get some quotes, and just so we have an idea of what you're facing, whether there's going to be insurance money to pay for it, or you have to go somewhere else, or we have to go around, taking donations at the ball game or what? I don't know.
We tried that. We got 26 cents.
Okay.
Literally, we got 26 cents. Mostly in pennies.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, who would give you the penny instead of all of them?
Right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt to have an idea, Skip, you know. And I couldn't tell from the thing from the insurance whether because some of that equipment, if it's damaged, should be covered. Maybe it's not covered under the same policy as the vehicle, but it ought to be covered under like inland marine coverage.
Right. And I don't think we dug into it that far as most of the equipment was medical equipment, so it's Band-Aids and tape. I mean, there was some stuff on it, but I don't think we've gone through it enough to see what that was. I mean, we could do that, I guess, but I don't know what's classified as equipment. Is the skid unit in the truck, is that equipment? Is because the replacement's going to be part of the truck. We made that part of the truck, so.
So when you got that replacement value, you based that on like a pickup truck?
No,
the same?
No, it was the same style of vehicle
that
as
you
a
have
fire
currently.
apparatus. A brush-type rescue truck. Pretty much like our old 530 that we had, the old Chevy. But it was going to be 4 doors and more newer. That's what we were looking at, the replacement for that eventually down the road anyway.
For that. So we need to get with Doug and...
Yeah, I sent myself an email, so I'll call him, try and call tomorrow, but if my office is still there.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in 3 days.
So we can proceed with some quotes, just get ballparks and all that, and hopefully inflation doesn't inflate that to go up anymore. Hopefully not.
Any information we can get for that far ahead of the game.
Appreciate it. We'll push on and see what we can come up with. I mean, that's about all we can do. Sit back and wait, watch.
Well, thanks for your efforts. Appreciate it.
Break out the popcorn. You're welcome.
John.
I looked shortly before I came in here. We had 43 calls in the last 30 days. 2 drug arrests this week. Randy started today, worked a few hours. Both vehicles are currently in service. That's a big thing for us.
First good news we've had all night.
The check engine light issue in the Ford seems to be fixed. They replaced a bunch of tubing underneath the hood. It was actually covered under warranty. $600 and some worth of parts. So that's good. They didn't charge us to fix the electrical side of the air conditioning system on the other because they'd done the work previously. So, I mean, that's something to keep in mind when we're choosing who's going to work on our stuff going forward, because they have been pretty good to us at Clinton. As far as the suspension issues of the truck, I talked to Scott briefly before the meeting, but the owner of Honey Creek Collision has agreed to go for a ride with me, so I can let him listen to what I'm hearing. They said normally their insurance doesn't allow them to ride with customers, but they would make the exception for this. I'll try to get that done sooner than later. Outside of that, I don't have much. We never really decided whether we were going to fix that bumper or not. I know Rex said a little battle scar wouldn't hurt it, and I don't really care either way, but I just don't want to not do something you guys want me to do. So.
I don't know. What do you think?
Is that the one that the deductible is going to be almost as much as?
It would be more than the cost of repair it. What's 600?
What?
The quote you got.
It's like,
There's more than that.
I thought it was a little more than the deductible.
Your response was it wasn't worth turning the claim
Into,
Yeah.
you're not going to hurt my feelings either way, but it's your guys' truck, so do with it as you wish.
He's trying to take really good care of the truck, so
Yeah.
I'd like to see it fixed, I guess.
I can.
You know,
And
it's
are you
pride.
good with Peterson doing the work, or he's the one that initially gave me the quote, so if you want me to do more, I will.
Yeah. Well, say if it worked like this, Hey, this is not an insurance job, see if you can get a little cheaper. For me.
Yeah, we've been
What do you think, Donna?
I think he takes very good care of it. So, I mean, if you get it done from Peterson. Peterson's reputable. He's always done a good job on anything I've taken over there.
He's very picky.
Yeah, he is good.
Fix it.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
sliding
I'll
out.
Tell them to give us a break because we're probably throwing more business soon.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of
It's not
that
their
going on.
fault.
Thanks for being
Yeah, when I go over there, he said, I haven't seen you for a couple of months. What's wrong?
I didn't know.
So, yeah, go ahead, get it taken care of, John.
I don't have any other meetings, I don't think.
Where are you getting the funding
Thank
for that?
That's all I have.
Well,
Kathy?
Kathy,
Go good. Pardon me.
We'll have to
funding
figure
to
that
fix
out.
that truck for,
The bumper.
She's saying we should look at our budget.
Yeah.
well, I know that.
You want me to find it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
That's a little bit easier.
Thanks.
So we're gonna pay it from the general fund, so, because I think your auto appropriation is a tad bit.
What?
Do you want me
I've
to
been
find it
doing
within
the-
the police budget, or we're gonna reappropriate?
Whatever works best for you. Thanks, Scott. See you.
Nice starting,
Thanks, be
Scott.
safe.
I don't know if he's got it in his.
Yeah.
I'll find it,
Find
I'll
it in
email
the-
you all and make sure you agree, and then we'll go from there, how's that?
Thank you. Anything else, John?
I'm good,
Okay.
unless you got questions.
We got anything for John? No,
Good
sir.
job. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for all your efforts also.
I appreciate your support.
I know it's time.
Brad?
Brad's on the spotlight.
All the bags of sand at the tower, they finally picked those up today. And the landscaping crew is coming in tomorrow
Oh, good.
to fix everything that was, especially the ruts. And I was thinking of start with you guys, if I can get a quote for maybe a new mower, since we're down a mower. And the SCAG could do the walking trails and the brand new mower could stay up at the shop and do the ball fields.
Well, if we need it, we can get the information.
three
We'll
Plus,
go
at the same
there.
time, we could probably get all the mowing done in one day.
Mhm.
So,
Does he have to have 3 quotes? Or
I don't think for that much, do we? 3 quotes, Kathy? I don't know, for something like that.
Or no?
It wouldn't hurt to get a couple
yeah, I was
of
wanting,
things,
I
but,
was wanting to get quite a few quotes.
yeah.
I want to make sure I get something good.
In the past, we deal with M&M lawnmower a lot, but it wouldn't hurt to get a
Yeah.
few more.
Yeah.
Just to,
John, here's a question for you. That semi parks down there at Reeder Park, the dry powder truck, for the 24th of this month, that's when I heard that 5K running that deal. Could you see if that guy would agree to park at someplace else during that day?
Can you think of anything like an alternative spot, just off the top of your head, that might be okay for the weekend?
Could he
They
do?
usually park down at the, on Roses down there. If
Gravel pit down
Mm-hmm.
there, that
I
spot
thought
down
they
by
were
the
down by the river at
Yeah.
one point.
Yeah.
And at the river on Water Street, and the
Water and
bridge,
Crawford.
we told them they could park down there
Yeah.
by the river bridge at the highway,
Just north of the highway.
yeah, to keep them off of Crawford Street, when we had that trouble before.
But I mean, if you're asking him to move it
And
and park
also
it on
on
Crawford Street for
29th
one
of
day, I don't
October.
think it would be
That
that
Prince.
big of an issue.
I would hope
Since
not.
we're-
Well,
Since
if
we're
it is,
a lot
that's
of
okay.
people, a lot of children, and
He's moved it for us for pranks and different things.
Yeah,
as he,
I would think if we were just
No big
courteous and
deal.
ask him.
He usually just goes on down to the grain bins
Grain
down
bins.
there.
parks there.
Hides it someplace. So
Okay.
So you'll talk to him, John?
Yep, I'll take care of it.
Thank you.
Was Brad done?
Hmm?
Was Brad done? Were you done? Oh.
Yep.
You were quick today.
Always am.
Diana?
Okay, I've got two things. First, I'd like to speak on behalf of the homecoming committee. And Jay, would you be able to attend the meeting Saturday to give a town update?
Oh, all right.
All right, thank you. And then would the fire department, police department, and utility department be able to be part of the parade?
Randy's gonna do it on my side, because
Okay.
Lisa's gonna, she's the MC or
Yes,
something.
she is.
He's already gonna be there, so I just agreed to let him do it.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah,
You
we'll
guys,
do
okay, wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we don't have any plans, do we?
I don't know.
10:30 is
We do
lined up
now.
over here in front of the building, and then 11 o'clock is parade.
10:30.
So,
10:30 is lined up.
Right.
am I picking up candy for all three departments
We
then?
let John know.
If you want to.
Yeah.
I usually do the
I
utility
told her.
department and
I
police,
just
so
told
I
her
don't feel right not giving them the fire department.
We're out.
Yeah, we're out. We would have to go get some.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
so somebody needs to go to Walmart.
we do have our big homecoming this weekend, and so anybody that wants to come is more than welcome. On behalf of the park board then, I'd like to give a report that railroad bridge bollards were installed on September 21st at 10 o'clock. We plan to paint more of Water Street north of Reeder Park to help continue the designated walking path, townwide walking path. So we're going to be doing that. And I've got some signs for you for pedestrian, yield to pedestrian. And we'll probably go over with you where we'd like to have those placed, if that's okay.
Sounds good to me.
All right. And then we met with Sam Blake, and he did give us two plans for two different splash pads, and they're very nice, as you can see. And the budget is $275,000 to $280,000, and so you can see that it's well beyond our means. So in the meantime, when we held our meeting last Sunday, Mike Asprin had the idea to get a hold of plumbers and steam fitters and see if maybe some of the union laborers would help us. And so he called the business manager at 157, and they said they cannot do any apprentice programs for work like this, but they could arrange to have volunteers from the union come in and do work like this for us if they have a plan. So we're like, well, we kind of have a plan, but it's just a matter of trying to come to some kind of a decision on what it is we really want, what kind of system we want, and what our budget will allow. And I feel like with the route we're going, rather than trying to, be big stuff. We're just small town, and we just want a nice place for our kids to play. And also, Cindy's we're trying to get things ready because in April, I believe it is, she can send a grant application to Land and Water Conservation Grant to the DNR. So we're trying to get everything together so that when April comes, we can be ready to send it off and apply for that money. So that's our goal. So we're really trying to be sensible and to work with everybody. So do you have any thoughts about any of that? Because we're open to anything. Okay. Well, that's
But
what
that's still on your to-do list.
That's still on our to-do. Yeah, nothing's been signed, nothing's been said.
I was making my list for Saturday, that's why.
Okay, gotcha. And we're not planning on spending $275,000 right away. So that's our on our to-do list. The other thing that we talked about, they held the Wabash River Run, the kayak race on the river, and the town guys did a great job of cleaning up the riverbank down there and cleaning up the boat ramp and getting everything ready, and we really appreciate that. And it looked pretty good down there. It looked nice. But it brought some things to light that we need some new riprap down there. We need some more white rock in the driveway. We need a new sign at the boat ramp. And it's just real faded. You can't even hardly read it. So Mike Askren called Brendan Kearns and Luke Raines, and they have both agreed to help provide some new riprap and some new white rock for the driveway down there, and a new sign. And we're also working with them to try to get some brown information signs to post on Washington Street, for one, so that people can be directed back that way towards the railroad bridge. They're proud of that railroad bridge, and the DNR, and they want to promote it as much as possible. So we asked, could we have one there? We need one on the highway that points that direction. We also need some camping signs on the highway that point to Reeder Park. So Mike's really on the ball, and he's made some good contacts, and he's going to try to help us get.
Have you talked to DNR about the white rock or anything?
Yeah, that's the DNR he talked to, Luke Raines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Brendan Kearns.
Brendan Kearns is the guy that's going to help with the signage.
Oh.
Yeah, but Luke Raines is going to help with the white rock and the riprap. So, we talked to Brad at the race that day, and I remember, and I'm sure many of you do too, that I remember the time when you could walk from the old boat ramp all the way north on the riverbank, clear up behind the park, and it was clear. And I know Brad said, Cody said,
we're in the process of
doing that. Up. Good deal.
Because Cody remembers back when he was a kid that you could see the river from Washington Street.
And that's awesome.
So we're trying to get that.
Great. We have the treasure. The river is our treasure, and we need to capitalize on that, because we've got a good thing there, and we need to take care of it. Okay. Do you have any comments about that other than the? Okay. All right. Let's see. Splash pad. I have a question, Kathy, for you about the Covered Bridge Fund. Can that money be placed in the Splash Pad Fund?
I need to get with State Board of Accounts. I think it comes from the Park Board to begin with through that fund. So I think it can, but I'd rather call Misty and make sure.
Well, we did vote to close it and to move the money to the Splash Pad Fund, and so it's in our minutes. So if they have to have it in the minutes, it's in our minutes.
Bridge Fund. See, they're not there on Friday, but I'll shoot them an email Monday. And I'm thinking it can, because it come from there originally. Right. You didn't get it from people.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Let's see. Oh gosh, I know there's something I'm forgetting, but we've got a lot going on, and Franklin Park is coming up on the 29th of October, and we're already asking for volunteers for that. We're going to have the trunk or treat from 7, I believe it is, to 7 to 8 for trunk or treat. So we're looking for volunteers for that. If you guys can bring your trucks down, if you've got a truck to bring. And then Jerry and Emily are working real hard on the haunted trail, and Ruth Kraut is going to be the Hoosier Witch, and her husband Clyde is going to be Frankenstein, because Betty's not with us anymore, so he's going to be Frankenstein. And Charlie Jones will be there with the music, so it's just a good community evening. Also, the next event coming up is Over the River and Through the Woods, and it's on September 24th at 9 o'clock, and it begins at Reeder Park, and the runners and walkers will start at Reeder and then go over the river on the river bridge and then through the woods on the brand new trail in Vermilion County. So it starts at 9 o'clock, and there'll be lots of family activities there for that. So we're trying to get our park and trails and everything looking nice for that. And I also have letters requesting donations to help with the purchase of the items that we need to put on Pranks in the Park. This is a fundraiser for all the park projects. So I'd like to ask if, I gave a letter to Kathy, or I guess she got a letter, and to ask if there would be a possibility the town could make a donation for Pranks in the Park. There's a letter. Do you want to read it, or you want them to read it, or?
Well, if I could find what I did with it,
I've got
I'm glad
one
to
here,
share
you
it,
know.
but that might be faster.
Okay, here, I'll give it to you. Does anybody want that Over the River and Through the Woods flyer? Do you have one of those?
I would take it because we didn't.
Okay. He just emailed it to me today. So
Then
yeah,
we could put that on the
okay.
utility page.
All right. And let's see here. Paul, do you want to say anything about the
I will
trail?
if you don't.
Go ahead. You want this?
I've got one right
Okay.
here. Are you done?
Yes, sir.
In connecting the two parks and the town-wide trail system, we're going to go ahead and put the white line on Water Street. And Cindy Todd has drawn this out on this paper, and till we printed it, the street showed up. But they don't show up now. So anyway, my question is, can we go ahead on Adams Street and put white line like we did on the rest of it? And Adams Street is right there south of the game club. And the trail will go all the way to Madison Street, which is the one past the library. No. Yeah, there at the library, then go north, cross the highway, up to Dale Hubbell's corner, and then turn east and go back to the park, this other park. So, and we've got signs for every block. There can be at least a sign saying pedestrians have right of way. So, we've never really asked the board, I guess, from the park board side for approval to make the walking trail. So I guess that's kind of where we're hedging towards. We need to know we got support from the.
Is there any legal thing that you have to check out?
I don't know.
Well, because I wish he was still here.
Yeah.
But maybe email him or call him.
Ask Scott.
I would,
Yeah.
just to make sure,
I've wondered that myself, you know.
you know.
Okay.
And then
Right.
we're going to ask Brad to punch posts in the ground. And today I was thinking, wonder where the gas lines are in comparison. So we've got to
Yeah.
do,
Decipher that out.
figure that out too. So Don, we'll get a hold of Scott on this first and say
Okay.
what's the,
I think maybe he just need to pass a resolution or an ordinance that stated pedestrian right of way and signs to be posted,
okay,
but I don't know for sure.
okay, me neither.
Do you want it, like, indicate where the signs would be posted on that map, or do you just need a copy of the map?
Probably, I don't know for sure.
We'll just ask Scott.
Okay.
I just know that in the past, anytime we did something with the street different or whatever, he just had to do an ordinance or
Resolution.
something to
Okay.
justify it that we needed that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. We'll pass it through Scott and go from there.
Yeah. We're just trying to make sure we get the street posted before that 5K. So, because they're going to be walking.
Well, it's posted on the south end of the park, so, well, not posted, I guess, it's,
Yeah, I
It's
meant
marked.
the yield signs.
okay,
Yeah. But,
okay.
oh gosh, I know I'm probably forgetting something. But I'll bring it up next time if I remember. Thank you for your time.
Rick?
And
Sorry.
that's okay. And I'm going to ask again about the donation for the price in the park.
Oh, yeah. You know what we did last year?
$100,
Oh, the electric.
electric and gas.
He can't.
We'll make a motion.
I move that we give $100
Thank you.
like we did last year.
Second.
Okay.
Aye.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
I don't think I can.
No, I don't think you can.
Keep saying.
Yeah, you can, because you're not on the park board. No.
Are you
you
on the
can't be
board?
'cause
No.
you're on the council.
You're just a representative.
You're a liaison between
Yeah.
the
You're not on
council
the
and the
board.
park board.
I'm not on the board.
Okay,
Yes.
then you can.
I'll vote for it.
Well, except for not, don't you?
Yes.
Ah, mercy.
Rick?
Went to the first meeting of for the Park County Hazard Management Plan. So that's in the works. The next meeting for that's going to be in November. In the meantime, there'll be flyers and some Survey Monkey stuff going out. And I'll probably hit some of y'all up about information that our own personal town-wide hazardous management stuff. This is primarily weather and act of God related things. It's not cyber terrorism or anything like that. It's just going to be storms and floods and all that. But I would say that we, looking at what we've got as far as the town and some of our cousin towns in the county, we were really looking pretty good, I think, with a lot of stuff. It's kind of nice to be a part of that. But I'll let you know everything that I need to know about it.
Awesome, thank you.
Well,
Overhead door at the firehouse got repaired last week.
Woohoo.
That's only been 6-7 months. And that's all I have.
That's how it works.
Pardon?
Brad, up there in that one building, is those sandbags still in there? There's a
No,
couple-
they've been moved outside,
Okay.
because he said he was coming to get them in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, you've
It's
talked
been
to
moved.
the EMA guy.
I thought he'd be there by now to get him, but
We moved them out so it'd be easier for him to get to.
Yeah.
Haven't heard from him.
Okay. I just thought about that because I talked to him about that here a while back. Forgot about it.
Did we get bids for our surplus stuff?
we're still working on that list.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if, do you want him to just set a minimum on some of that stuff, or do you guys want to look at it and figure out a minimum, or?
We can.
It don't matter.
Well, I'll email that tomorrow and then take a look at it, or first of next week. I mean, it's not an emergency, but
We do have an interest in the Duncan booth.
There's a couple interest in that ducking booth.
Yeah. I know the Eagles of Clinton's one.
So is Park County Sheriff's Department,
Oh, wow.
so we might get a little more out of it.
A bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of all the things you'd think people would want, I didn't think that'd be one of them.
Yeah.
They're not easy to find from what I'm hearing, or rent anymore from places.
That's all I got.
I don't have anything, Sean.
I have nothing.
Kathy.
I did forget to add this to the list. It's a water, I had it on this one, but looked over it. Water adjustment request for account 715003, Joseph Dillon. He returned out receipts, paperwork, and everything. Fixed it as soon as we called him, or shortly after. After he figured out it was the
Where's that at?
bathroom. Strasser's old house on Washington, 85 North Washington.
I make a motion we allow for the adjustment on the water per ordinance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that it? I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.